So I got this book called Crooked Moon. It's kind of from the vibe I'm getting, it's kind of a gothic, maybe Victorian, kind of steampunky type thing. Um, Trains and spirits and all kinds of spooky stuff seems to be kind of central to the theme of it. Lots of like cryptids and folktale type stuff. Um, I got the premise behind it, but I didn't dig into it too deep because I really want to experience the campaign as a player instead of as a GM, even though I bought the whole, like, the GM's guide and the player's guide and all that stuff. But today I just kind of wanted to make a little bit shorter of a video and go over the Crooked Moon player's guide because there's some really good stuff in there. And no, I don't have any way to show you the book yet. I'm still working on that, trying to improve the setup little by little each time. But yeah, let's go through the species first. And yeah, I do wish I had a way to show you guys kind of the artwork that's in here, because that was something that really drew me to the Crooked Moon. Was the artwork is just really good. And I think they even did a soundtrack for Crooked Moon as well, which was just really good. It's kind of like dark, bluesy type music. I thought it was really, really nice. But some of the different species options are the Ashborn, and they're basically like imps. And the character they have here is this really cute imp female playing a violin in kind of like a Victorian style dress. It's just really kind of cool. I really like the species options in this book a lot. They're all really neat. I want to say that they are super powerful. I think they do tend to lean a little bit more on the more powerful side as far as D&D 5th edition goes, because there's a few races, or species rather, that get flight, and I know that can be hard to deal with as a GM sometimes. But the Ashborn, which is basically your imp, gets like this cool stinger ability, so they can stab people with it and poison them. So that's really neat. Dark vision, standard stuff there. But they get Fiendish Fortune, which when you're struck by an attack that isn't a critical, you can make a reaction to cause the attack to miss you. They just get a bunch of neat stuff like that. There's the Azureborn, which are kind of like, they don't look like human at all. They look like owl people. They have like really big wings. They're kind of attached to their arms, and like reverse jointed legs. So it really gives them that animal look. But they have the guidance cantrip as a species ability. I keep wanting to say race. That's the throwback to like the old games, like 3rd edition and stuff like that. That's just kind of the terms they used, and that's kind of where I started role playing at, was 3rd edition. But the neat thing about this is I think you can actually use the guidance cantrip. Oh no, that's a different species I'm thinking about. There's one of the species in here that I think allow you to use guidance as a reaction when one of your buddies fails a roll. I can't remember what race it is in here. I keep saying that. Sorry, species. When you roll initiative, if you aren't surprised, you can choose a number of creatures that you can see equal to your proficiency. The targets have advantage on their initiative. And Winds of Magic. As a bonus action, you can take the dash action and increase your fly speed by 10 feet. Yeah, they're one of the species that gets an innate fly speed. Bogborn are really cool. They're like super tall, 7 foot, 8 foot tall, playable trolls, basically. So you get some regeneration, keen senses, things like that. Curseborn, literal werewolves, except I think you stay in your like hybrid wolf form all the time. You get a really cool unarmed attack that does slashing damage, and it curses your enemies. Dark vision, Lupine senses, which is proficiency in investigation, perception, or survival. So you get a pretty decent choice. And I'm not going into super detail on all of these. I just kind of wanted to skim through and give you an idea of what some of the species were in Crooked Moon. Well, the ones that are really cool and stand out to me anyways. There's Gnarlborn, which if you ever wanted to be Groot, here's your chance, because they're like big tree people. Size medium, 5 foot to 8 feet tall. Yeah, that's big. What do they get that's cool? They get grasping branches. As a bonus action, you can magically unleash the binding power of the Darkwood. Choose a larger, smaller creature within 30 feet of yourself. They make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the target's restrained. Okay, so they'd be pretty good at like a grappling type build, probably. Yeah, moving right along. Graveborn, basically a ghoul. So if you want a different type of undead, because I know Dampier is an option with Van Richten's, and I think there's a new book that just come out, Asterian something. I can't remember. It was like Book of Hunger or something like that. I'll probably get that eventually, just because I love undead. But you can be a Reborn, a Dampier, or now with Crooked Moon, you can be basically a ghoul, is what a Graveborn is. You get dark vision. You get a neat thing that you can eat a corpse out of combat, of course, and you can regain a hit die worth of hit points for free without expending a hit die. So that's pretty neat. And the other thing they get that is super cool is Infused Draconite. When you damage a creature, you can ignore any resistance it has, and it takes extra necrotic equal to your proficiency bonus. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long or short rest. That is really good, in my opinion, if you have like a really big spell you need to throw. Infused Draconite on like Fireball against fireball or fire-resistant enemies. Yeah, no longer an issue. Harvestborn, I love this too, as like a Halloween trope or something like that. It is basically a scarecrow with a pumpkin head. There's this old game that I really love. It's called Ogre Battle or Tactics Ogre. Ogre Battle, I think, is the one that you get the pumpkin unit, and they like take off their head and they kick it, and it's like an artillery piece. I love that so much, and that's what this character reminds me of. So it kind of fulfills that fantasy for me a little bit. I've yet to play one, but I definitely want to build one eventually. But they have some really cool abilities too that I really love, like the culling, and the name of it's just really cool. When you damage a bloodied creature, you deal an extra d12 necrotic to it. You can use this trait a number of times according to your proficiency bonus. See, I love how they scaled that. It's all proficiency bonus, so you get a good number of uses of it, but it's not so overpowered that you can just do it always. I think it's got a really good balance to it. Gift of the Green, as a bonus action, you can touch the ground and choose a creature also touching the ground within 30 feet of yourself. That creature can expend and roll one hit die and regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your proficiency. You can use this number proficiency times per day. You regain one on a short rest. Okay. Dancing Lights, cantrip. Okay. As a scarecrow, you don't have to eat, drink, or breathe. So I know that sounds like a useless ability, but it's not completely useless. Because I've played a character that doesn't need to eat, drink, or breathe multiple times, and like if you come across like a water feature and nobody can really go down to the bottom to see what's there, or you have to fight underwater, or there's a poisonous gas or whatever, not having to breathe can be very useful for that. So it's actually come up for me multiple times. So not requiring air, better than it sounds. And last, the Harvestborn only requires 4 hours to sleep. Though during that time they retain consciousness, so I guess they just revert to like their scarecrow form, right? Plagueborn is your rat folk, but they have like a really heavy, like Skaven influence to them. They're like poison and filth and stuff like that. So I'll move on. Relicborn is like think of kind of like an animated skeleton, but they are based on Day of the Dead, so they're like really cheerful. They're great dancers. They're good at telling stories. Things like that, and they get bonuses to all those kind of things. So they're good at buffing their party too, with their kind of cool dancing abilities and stuff like that. And they don't have to sleep either. I think they can just keep performing instead of sleeping. So I thought that was neat. Silkborn, spider people. The concept of them is cool, but they look really freaky, so I'm moving on. Stoneborn, basically, if you ever loved the show Gargoyles, like probably in the 90s, now you can be a gargoyle. I don't know if everybody watching this knows what that show is, but it was really good, and the gargoyles are awesome. So you're basically a stone dude that can fly and hit really hard because you got a zealous charge that allows you to do an extra 2d6 radiant, but you can't do it so again until you finish a long rest. They have some cool defensive abilities, which makes you more tanky. As a silver bulwark, you can call upon the silver path to protect you when you take bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. You can take a reaction to gain resistance to those 3 damage types until the start of your next turn. Can't use it again until a short or long rest. You get it all back on long rest. You gain insight, perception, or survival as species skills. So those are cool. Threadborn. So this, like Pinocchio, or the main character from Lies of P, which is probably also Pinocchio. I don't remember them ever saying his name, but yeah, you get the idea. You are a doll-like construct, and I think there's a few different types. No, there's not. There's just the Threadborn in general. So you have ball joints, so that means you can like smoosh yourself down and move through a space as narrow as a foot. You have resistance to psychic damage because you are innocent. Sown nature, don't require air, food, or drink. A lot of races with that in this book, which I'm okay with. Soothing Heart. You know the guidance cantrip starting at level 3. You always have the Sanctuary spell prepared, and at starting character level 5, starting at character level 5, you always have the Calming Motion spell prepared when you cast each spell once without a spell slot. When you cast Calming Motions in this way, it can target creatures of any type. Oh, that's neat. You gain this ability to cast them using this trait when you finish a long rest. You can also cast either spell using any spell slots that you have at the appropriate level. Oh, nice. So you just get the spells. You've got a friend. When a creature you see within 30 feet of yourself fails an ability check or using a skill check, you can take a reaction to cast guidance on the creature. That's the one. That's the one that lets you cast guidance as a reaction. That is so good. If your buddy just misses it by a couple of points and everybody's like, oh, I missed it. No, you're like, I got you, bro. You've got a friend. You just extra D4 guidance as a reaction. That is so good. You can use it proficiency times a day. And then for the subclasses, there is, looks like there's one subclass for every base class. And some of them are really good. Some of them are just really good flavor. But I kind of went through these, and different ones kind of really called out to me. So I'm looking at the list of all of the subclasses now. Barbarian gets one that's called Path of the Experiment, and I kind of think they were going for a Jekyll and Hyde kind of feeling for that. So you like unleash your beast and you can modify your body and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was nice. It really fits the whole theme that they're going for. Bard College of Whistles. You can whistle up ghostly companions, is what it says. But they have like a strong train theme, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Cleric is Harvest Domain. Druid, Circle of the Old Ways. I actually really loved Circle of the Old Ways. I'll flip to that now and kind of read you a little bit of that as we're going. And like, as I'm scrolling here, all the artwork in this is just so good. I love these books that come out with a good artwork. So, Circle of the Old Ways. When you reach a druid level specified in the Circle of the Old Ways, you thereafter always have a list of prepared spells. So you get a couple of spells. Ancestral Guidance, that might be a new one in the book, I can't remember. Barkskin, Shield of Faith, Shillelagh, Spike Growth. So Shield of Shillelagh and Spike Growth are just awesome for this particular subclass. They're good always, but this one really puts it to work because this particular druid is a really kind of like a gishy druid. They expect you to be hitting stuff with your shillelagh quite a bit. Magic Circle, Plant Growth, Freedom of Movement, Private Sanctum, Awaken, and Tree Stride. Bow and Branch. Even the humblest of your weapons channels the might of the old forest. When you cast Shillelagh, you can cause a shield made of gnarled wood to grow into your free hand if you have one. No actions required. And it vanishes when the spell ends. You can't be forced to drop the affected weapon or shield unless you have the incapacitated condition. Additionally, for the duration of the spell, you ignore somatic components of your druid spells, and the weapon enhanced by the spell becomes a druidic focus. So that's pretty neat. Druid with a wooden shield, and you can still cast with no issues. As a bonus action, or as a part of casting Shillelagh, you can expend a use of Wild Shape to suffuse yourself with the power of Primordial Woods, gaining the following benefits. And there's 3 of them. Do you get all of them, or is it one of them? Expend suffuse it with the power, gaining the following benefits. Oh, okay. While you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 10 plus Dexterity plus Wisdom. That's good. You're going to have a good Wisdom as a druid anyways, and probably a decent Dexterity because a lot of people use Dexterity as a secondary or tertiary stat anyways. Elderwood Sap. When you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon enhanced by a Shillelagh, the target is coated in Elderwood Sap. Until the start of your next turn, while coated, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you. So, built-in tank ability. Oaken Resolve. You have advantage on Strength and Constitution saving throws. This lasts for 10 minutes. It ends early if you dismiss it. Have the incapacity condition or die. Okay, that's reasonable. Oaken Thorn. That's your level 6 ability. The Wrath of the Elderwood drives you and punishes your foes. When you activate your Wood Woes, you gain the following additional benefits. Oaken Fist. You can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. So that right there, your Shillelagh is now, or you can swing your Shillelagh twice now. That is great. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a melee attack roll using a weapon, the target takes an extra d6 piercing damage. Okay, not bad at all. So I don't know how good a melee druid would be besides like a beast shaper or what do they call moon druid. But I think this would be really fun. It kind of gives you another way to play the druid, and it gives you a good gishy feeling without having to be a paladin. So I guess a paladin's a gish, yeah, but they're primarily a warrior first and a caster second, whereas this is your caster first, warrior second. I think it's awesome. Might as well just go through the last couple abilities for the druid just because I like them so much. Your connection to the Elderwood grows stronger. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can force the target to succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell DC or have the prone condition. Dang, that's good. Bramblebark. When a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with a melee attack, the attacker takes 1d8 piercing damage. A creature can take this damage only once per turn. That's not bad. If you're fighting a horde of smaller monsters, that damage adds up pretty quick. Yeah. Rampant Growth. When you activate Wood Woes, and at the start of each of your subsequent turns, you gain a number of temp HP equal to your Wisdom modifier plus your proficiency. Dang, that's good. Okay, they're actually a really good tank. Yeah. And finally, level 14, your last ability. When you activate your Wood Woes, your size increases to large. Okay. Your reach increases by 5 feet. You gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing. Bludgeoning and piercing. Okay. And Vengeance of the Elder. When a creature that is covered in Elderwood sap and is within your reach makes an attack roll, you can take a reaction to make a melee against them. Damn! That is a level 14 ability, but man, I like that subclass. Well done, guys. There's actually another druid subclass, Circle of Wicker. It looks like you build wicker effigies. That's probably pretty good too. I'm not gonna go read the whole thing though. The Barrow Guard Fighter. This gives me like undead knight vibes, and it looks like they have some maneuver like dice. I don't think it's actually Battle Master Maneuvers, it's its own thing, but it has a dice mechanic that's similar to it. And I remember reading about them and thinking they were really cool. If you guys are interested and want me to go through these other subclasses, I can break them down and stuff too. I'm just kind of skimming through this, otherwise I'll be talking about the book all day. And I think my last video was like 40 minutes or something like that, because I just got carried away. They have Warrior of the Pestilent Haze. So, kind of leaning into that Skaven-like aesthetic. They feel like plague monks. So monks that spread poison. Like you're probably an unholy monk of some sort. Oath of Castigation. These guys were definitely inspired by Warhammer Fantasy. You can tell by the artwork and kind of the classes they have. The Oath of Castigation looks very much like a witch hunter, so it's really cool. And it kind of looks like their abilities are similar to that, like an Inquisitor or a Witch Hunter kind of thing. Very cool Paladin subclass. The Grim Harbinger is their Ranger class, and you get this awesome, huge black Mastiff Hound. Looks like he's made out of shadow as your pet. Let's see. Let's figure out how the Grim works. Does it actually use your action to attack? I hope not. Let's skim through this real quick. Element of Doom. Okay. As a bonus action, you target a creature you can see within 90 feet of you and magically seal its doom for 1 hour. Once per turn, when you hit the doomed target with an attack, it takes an extra d6 necrotic. In addition, a ghostly creature called the Grim appears in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of the target. Grims most often appear as black spectral hounds. Okay. But you can choose an appearance appropriate to its stat block. Okay. The Grim is friendly to you and your allies, and it obeys your commands. It vanishes if you die. When the doomed creature dies, when it's reduced to 0 hit points, or when you use this feature again. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a short or long rest. Okay, so it's basically there to help you take down one creature. The Grim in combat. In combat, the Grim acts during your turn. It can move and use its reaction on its own. But the only action it takes is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action to command it to attack. To take an action in a stat block. As part of the bonus action, you take to use the Omen of Doom, or you can sacrifice one of your attacks when you take the attack action to command the Grim to take the Ominous Rend action. Okay, so they fixed the Beastmaster problem from at least the 2014 edition. I'm not sure how the 2024 Ranger Beastmaster is, but getting this guy to attack as a bonus action, huge win. And I'm sure the rest of the features are also excellent. But my main focus here is on the Hound itself, so let's see what actions it actually gets. Okay, so what does it get to hit? It has a melee attack roll. Bonus equals your spell attack modifier. Okay, so that might be pretty low if you're not focusing on wisdom as a ranger. Damage is 1d6 plus 3 plus your wisdom modifier necrotic damage. That hits pretty hard if you do lean into wisdom, though. And you actually, if you decided to use a shillelagh as a ranger, your wisdom's going to be high. And then your grim would be really strong, too. So that might actually be a really good combo. So you smack them at the high end. You'd smack them twice with your shillelagh, and then your grim would attack them once, and that's all scaling off of wisdom. So, ooh, yeah, that's actually pretty good. And then you get a bunch of other stuff later on top of it too. I'd actually really be interested in playing the Grim Harbinger. They seem really, really cool to me. I love pet classes though. The rogue is the sinner. It looks like they are a gambler. Yeah, they got like a gambler theme going on. It looks like you can roll dice to get different effects. You can curse weapons. The aesthetic they're going with reminds me a lot of Gambit from like X-Men, but with guns and dice. Oh yeah, and I think guns are supported in Crooked Moon because it's got that kind of Victorian-ish theme going on, right? The sorcerer gets Crimson Sorcery, which if I remember right was just like really powerful. Because you get a blood pool that allows you to do additional things with your magic. So you'd get your sorcery points and your blood pool as well. So it's almost like doubling down on what the sorcerer is good at already. We'll skim through this too. When you reach a sorcerer level specified in the Crimson Spells table, you thereafter always have the following spells prepared. And it looks like a lot of these spells on their spell list come specifically from the Crooked Moon book. So I don't know what they do off the top of my head, but you do get some really good ones. You get Mass Cure Wounds as your Sorcerer level 9 spell. On a Sorcerer, being able to heal is awesome. Oh, you get Cure Wounds at 3rd level? Okay, that's really good. Okay, so here's your blood pool. We'll go through that real quick, and then we'll move on to the next. As a bonus action, you can expend your blood well to magically dissolve into a pool of blood along with everything you're wearing for 1 hour. The transformation ends if you drop to 0 hit points. If you choose to end it while you are a pool of blood, you use your game stats with the following changes. Your speed becomes 10. You gain climb and swim speeds equal to your speed. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. You have immunity to prone. You have advantage on strength, dex, and con saves. You can pass through small holes. You can enter and occupy the space of another creature. You can't drop, use, or otherwise interact with anything. You can't talk. Okay, so that's not the all the spell manipulation like I thought it was. I do think they get spell manipulation. I just can't remember what it's called. Okay, so Blood Well, that's their 3rd level ability. You hold a reserve of vital energy called your Blood Well, which you can use to empower your magic and fuel other powers from this subclass. When you deal damage or restore hit points to your creature, you can expend Blood Well to add 1d8 to the total of for one target. You gain your expended Blood Well when you finish a long or when you finish a long rest, or when a creature takes 10 or more necrotic damage from you at one time. Okay, that's pretty good. Warlock has the Great Fool Patron. It's basically a jester-looking Warlock, right? Yeah, Warlock. Yeah. You get like, if you want to be the Joker, I guess. And then Warlock, the Horned King Patron. And they look very spooky and culty-like. Wizard has the Occultist. Forbidden Knowledge, Intrusion, Reality Tear. That's an interesting sounding ability. Let's see. Choose a spell 3rd level or lower from the Warlock spell list. You always have that prepared. You can change your chosen spell when you finish a long rest. When you cast the spell, you can risk Intrusion to remove the need to concentrate on it, and the spell ends after 1 minute of its normal duration, whichever is shorter. Intrusion, does that mean like some otherworldly being like intrudes into your mind? I don't know. It seems interesting though. And then the wizard gets a philosopher class as well. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting classes in this, and I didn't want to talk all day about the classes in here. I just kind of want to give a quick skim through of some of the ones I liked and give you a little bit of just like a very brief synopsis kind of about each one, I suppose. Yeah, I really just skimmed most of them. If you guys are interested, I would be happy to break down the subclasses even more. If not, that is fine. I'll just talk about whatever I want to talk about next video. But yeah, that's basically all I got. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.